Hey everybody, why So Wookie here. In this video, we're going to go through the new PUBG console dev letter for September 2020. We're going to go through all the different topics that it covers, what the devs explain, and what it's going to mean for the future of PUBG on console. If you enjoy this video, find the information useful, consider liking and subscribing to see more, and also leave a comment and let me know what you think of this and what you think that the most important measures here should be moving forward. Let's jump right in. So the first thing that they go over is the crashing. So they acknowledge that after update 8.1, they were seeing a great increase in crashing, which I can, concur that I was crashing way more than I ever had before. And I bear in mind I run on an Xbox One X and an SSD as well, but I was still getting crashes at least probably once every 4 or 5 games, where it was previously maybe once every fortnight. So it had increased, and after investigation, they concurred it was due to the memory use, obviously, because that's what it always is. They did do a hotfix, which seems to have fixed that. I'm not crashing anywhere near as much now, and in fact, it's been a while since I've crashed anyway. And again, as usual, they're working on implementing better code so that it's more optimized, so that the memory issues aren't as substantial. They're also removing redundant PC code that's unneeded, again to save memory, and also working on things like making emotes much more efficient so they're not going to take up as much memory as well. And then they basically just says it's work in progress. The engineers are going through the code and find out where the optimizations can be put, which is good. It's always good when they acknowledge that there's been an issue opposed to just ignoring it. The next thing is performance. They've acknowledged that some people are experiencing poorer frame rates on Vikendi. So for the time being, they've reduced the frequency of that map at the minute. In the long term, again, they're working on getting higher frame rates for all maps, so they're all on par with each other, so that they all feel just as good in terms of stability, which is what you'd want. Next up is the graphics settings. So we're talking about Framerate Priority mode, which will unlock the frame rate for the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4 Pro. Because at the minute they're capped at 30 FPS, but the actual hardware in those two systems is capable of going above that in a lot of cases. So they've been testing it, and hopefully in October 2020 they'll release another setting where if you have it in frame rate mode, you can go above that 30 FPS cap, which should make the game feel smoother for players on those systems. They also talked about graphics as well, and they have a dynamic resolution system at the minute. So on the heavy load, the resolution will lower so that the frame rate can stay higher and keep the gameplay smooth. Otherwise, in certain times like that, it just got chunky, and then basically the people on the better systems would just win the gunfight because they're not having the issue. So they basically say, depending on how the frame rate priority goes, they're going to have a look at having the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro have that where they can turn off dynamic resolution, so you can keep the quality of the image and the frame rate, because obviously a more powerful console. So we'll hope to see how that goes, but it is going to depend on how the frame rate priority mode goes. The next issue that they've gone through is in mid-August, we've seen a lot of reports that ping has gone up. This is definitely a thing. For never used to struggle with ping, then every now and again you just sat on 200 ping for no apparent reason. I was playing earlier today on the day of recording this, and I jumped in one game. We played for about 5-10 minutes, perfectly normal, got a couple of kills, and then all of a sudden got in a car, network lag was on the screen, nothing wrong with the internet, on any other device. And it said to them, I think the highest it went to was 14,700 ping, until eventually it just booted everybody out of the game. It wouldn't let you join in back. And then on the PUBG lookup, the game's almost like it didn't exist, almost like the server just just completely ended. Now in the EU, we usually go on the FR-something server, and it changed it over to a different name after a couple of games of trying. So, clearly I don't know whether they were rebooting that server or whatnot, but after that it worked perfectly fine. So there are issues going on in terms of this, and hopefully they can get that sorted out to make it better. And then they've got the open development as well. So they asked players to test out the new feature where basically you can pre-program any button on the controller to how you want your controls. So there'll be control type A, B, C, and then one where you just do it yourself for the key binding, which is pretty good, especially if you've got an elite control, because you've got those extra buttons, so you've got the utility to do that. And again, they thank people for helping out with that, and they're looking to bring that out to everybody soon. They do apologise to PlayStation players; they weren't able to participate in this. I think it was only for the Xbox only, but hopefully next time they'll be able to do that. And then they just make a little funny about the mowing down enemies with the MG3, which is a true thing. And that's it. So they've got a lot to work on, really. So the crashing, obviously, the hotfix seems to have minimised that a lot. So, well, especially from my experience. In terms of performance for Vikendi, it's disappointing because it was only last season that Vikendi was updated. So now having it turned down is annoying because we still want to experience that map. Hopefully they'll be able to do a hotfix for that soon. The Framerate Priority mode for the Xbox One X, that's going to be great when that comes out in October, especially for me, because like I say, I'm on the Xbox X with an SSD, so I'll see some real benefit from that. And then the network latency, they really need to get that under control, because sometimes it is just ridiculous. Like I said, 14,700 ping is stupid. But let me know what you think. Leave a comment underneath about which of these issues you've experienced, if any. And like I said, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe to see more. Wookie out.